you guys. Welcome to Shantae's Corner. So, what I want to talk about on today is I want to talk about being a person with a disability, living life, not being able to drive. As you guys know, as you can see, it always comes up, especially with little people. Is my vision. And as I've noted, I am legally blind. So I've never officially been able to drive. Have I gotten out behind the wheel to learn? Yeah, but my grandma freaked out. And so I just want to talk about me living in multiple states and how transportation has progressed. As we know, the United States is so vast, so large, and I can only speak on the states that I've lived in. I've traveled to several states, but I, didn't really have to use transportation like that. So I can talk about the ones that I lived in. Like I said, if you look into my journey, check out my books. I grew up in Georgia, rural Georgia. And then I moved to Augusta. Now, with transportation there, when I grew up, there was no Uber. We didn't have buses where I grew up. So I moved to a larger city where in Augusta we had buses. So I used the paratransit system until I left. I left Augusta in my early 30s, and I moved to California where I also used public transportation, the ADA system there. I lived right across the street initially from the rail, Sacramento Rail, so I would take that. And then Uber came along. That was like the greatest thing ever. And for you guys that have been able to drive, it kind of frustrates me sometimes knowing, how people just take that for granted. When you aren't able to drive, you greatly appreciate those things. You are very, considerate how you treat those people, cars, and just even with the drivers I had, some of the things they went through with the customers, working in customer service myself. They always say the customer's not always right at all. Nope. And with me having to rely upon that, I am so grateful, that people choose to drive Uber. And I've recently been able to see the other side from the driver's perspective. And I can see, like I said, working in customer service for the past 12 years, the customer's not always right at all. Some customers are horrible. And just to know some of the things the drivers has to put up with, it's so demeaning. But for somebody like me that is grateful for it, I'm so grateful that people choose to do that. Because like I said, most of my life growing up, it's hard to get around. So to have something like Uber and Lyft is just a blessing. God does things, and that just changed everything for me. Working in California, there were times where I would get off work at 5 o'clock. I didn't get picked up until 7 o'clock, waiting on a ride to come get me with the public transit. Had I had the funds or was Uber available at that moment, I could have took an Uber home. But that's one of the reasons why I had to leave where I was in Georgia, because I couldn't get a job. So my job took me to California. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I lost that job. So I was there for 7.5 years. That job would have likely still been there because the pay was good. I was, making more than I was making in my last job. And, when you're making a livable wage right now, because everything is so expensive. You're not just going to leave it. So, yeah, I was there 7.5 years until COVID happened and we lost our contract. Um, but having something like Uber made life so much better because I was able to go to doctor's appointments, things like that without having to wait on transit. Transit, I'm grateful for transit. Like I said, I grew up in a small town where we didn't have it. But when you can just call somebody to pick you up, that's a whole lot better than waiting forever for transit. And I now live in Houston. I haven't traveled here as much because I've been working from home. And the one time I did, I'll talk about that in a different video. Work at a different company where I wasn't working from home. I was able to walk to work. So I haven't used Uber here as much. I have used it. I've heard similar stories here that I've heard from the drivers in California. But it's such a great thing. And I'm just so grateful how far things have come. Even in small towns, I'm thinking, you can answer this if you guys have Uber there. But it's a godsend, and I'm grateful even though you have people doing foolishness on the driver's side and on the passenger side. But for somebody that's not able to drive, it's awesome, and that's what frustrates me now still when I hear about drunk drivers. There's no excuse for you to be drinking and driving. Even since I've been here in Texas, I've known several people that have died because of drunk drivers, and it's no excuse for it. None. You're not gonna tell me. I mean, it's really frustrating that people still do that. It's no excuse. You might as well pay whatever you gotta pay with Uber, then get in the car and take somebody's life. Lose your own life, get a ticket or whatever. It's no excuse. So I just wanted to share the benefits of having things like Uber, being somebody that relies upon that Uber and Lyft and any other type of app, in the different cities for somebody who doesn't drive. So for you guys who do drive, who may be watching this, who may be drinkers or whatever, get an Uber. Don't drink and drive. And I just pray that this was a blessing for you. It was encouraging to you. I thank you guys for being here with me. And until the next time, live, love, be merry. Love you guys.